I didn't realize how quiet a room could get until everyone in it started laughing at me. Not the kind of laughter that comes from joy, not the kind that feels warm or shared. This was different. Sharp, pointed, the kind that lands on you and stays there. My sister was the one who said it. Of course she was. She always knew exactly where to aim. "Where's your husband and kids?" she said, tilting her head slightly, her voice just loud enough for everyone at the table to hear. "Oh, right, you don't have any." And then she smiled. That smile. The one that pretended it was a joke. The one that made it seem like I was overreacting if I didn't laugh along. For a second, I didn't react. I just sat there, holding my fork, staring at my plate like the answer might be written somewhere between the mashed potatoes and the green beans. Then I heard it. My mom. A small laugh at first, like she wasn't sure if she should, but then it grew. My dad joined in, not loudly, but enough. Enough to make it real. Enough to make it clear this wasn't just my sister being cruel. This was normal to them. I slowly set my fork down. The sound was soft, but in that moment, it felt loud, like it cut through everything. "I didn't realize we were doing this tonight," I said quietly. My sister leaned back in her chair. "Oh, come on," she said. "Don't be so sensitive. It's just a joke." A joke, right. "Is it?" I asked, finally looking up. Her expression didn't change. Still relaxed, still amused. "Yeah," she said, "unless it hit a nerve." My jaw tightened. "It didn't hit a nerve," I said. "It's just tired." My mom waved her hand slightly. "Let's not make this awkward," she said. "We're just having dinner." I almost laughed at that, because it was already awkward. It had been awkward the second my sister decided to turn my life into a punchline. "I'm not the one making it awkward," I said. My dad sighed. "You know what your problem is," he said. I looked at him. "No," I replied calmly, "but I'm sure you're about to tell me. You take everything too seriously." There it was, the usual. If I react, I'm the problem. If I don't, I'm weak. Either way, I lose. My sister leaned forward slightly. "I mean, he's not wrong," she said. "You're what, 32 now?" 31, I corrected. "Okay, 31, she shrugged. "And still, nothing." I held her gaze. "What exactly is nothing?" She smiled again. "You know what I mean." No, I wanted her to say it. I wanted her to be clear. Because people like her, they hide behind vague words, so they don't have to own them. "Say it," I said. Her expression faltered for just a second, then came back, stronger. "Fine," she said. "No husband, no kids, no real life." The table went quiet. Not because they were shocked, but because now it was out in the open, clear, direct, ugly. My mom shifted slightly in her seat. "You didn't have to say it like that," she said, but she didn't say it was wrong. That part mattered. I looked at my sister for a long moment, then I nodded slowly. "Got it," I said. "What?" she asked. "Now I know what you think." She rolled her eyes. "You already knew." She wasn't wrong. I did know. I had always known. It just usually stayed under the surface, wrapped in little comments, subtle comparisons, questions that weren't really questions. "So what's your plan?" she continued. "Just keep working and being alone forever?" There was something in her voice now, not just mockery, curiosity, like she genuinely couldn't understand it, like my life didn't make sense to her. I leaned back slightly in my chair. "My plan is to live my life," I said. She laughed. "That's not a plan." "It's mine." My dad shook his head. "You're wasting time." There it was again, that word, wasting. Like my life had a deadline, like I was behind on something. "According to who?" I asked. "According to reality," he replied. I almost smiled. "Your version of it?" "Our version of it," my mom corrected. I looked at her. "And what version is that?" "The one where people build families, where they settle down, where they don't end up alone." Alone. That word landed differently, because the way she said it, it sounded like a warning, or maybe a prediction. My sister leaned in again. I mean, seriously, don't you get lonely? I didn't answer right away, because the truth wasn't simple. Lonely wasn't the right word, but I wasn't about to explain that to her, not like this, not in this room, not with them watching. I'm fine, I said. She tilted her head. Yeah, that's what people say when they're not. Something in me snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a thread pulling too tight. I'd rather be alone, I said slowly, than be in something that doesn't make me happy. That hit. I could see it, a flicker in her expression, gone quickly, but there. Wow, she said, that sounds like something you tell yourself at night. I leaned forward slightly. No, I said, it's something I learned the hard way. The room shifted again, subtle but real, because now this wasn't just about me. Not entirely. My sister's smile tightened. What does that mean? I held her gaze. You know exactly what it means. For a second, just a second, she didn't have a response. And in that silence, I saw it. Something real, something she didn't want anyone else to notice. Then my mom jumped in. Okay, that's enough, she said quickly. We're not doing this. Of course, shut it down the moment it gets uncomfortable for her. My dad nodded. Let's just move on. Move on, like nothing happened, like it always does. I sat there for a moment longer, then I pushed my chair back. I think I'm done, I said. Already? My sister asked. We just started. I looked at her. No, I said. You started. I grabbed my bag, my keys, didn't wait for anyone to stop me, because they wouldn't. They never do. I walked out of that house, into the night air, and for a second, I just stood there, breathing, trying to shake off that feeling, that familiar weight, like I was always being measured and always coming up short. But something was different this time, because instead of shrinking, instead of questioning myself, I felt something else, something sharper, clearer, like a voice in the back of my head saying, you're not the one who's missing something. And that thought, it didn't go away. It followed me, into my car, into my apartment, into the quiet space where no one was watching, no one was judging, no one was laughing. I dropped my keys on the counter, kicked off my shoes, and leaned back against the wall. Silence, real silence. And for the first time that night, I let myself feel it. Not the hurt, not the embarrassment, something else, something deeper. Because the truth was, they weren't completely wrong. There was something missing, something I hadn't talked about, something I had buried so far down, even I pretended it wasn't there. But tonight, the way she said it, the way they all looked at me, it brought it back, clear, sharp, unavoidable. And the worst part? It wasn't about not having a husband or kids. It was about why I didn't. And something tells me if they ever found out the real reason, they wouldn't be laughing, not even a little. I didn't turn on the lights when I walked into my apartment. I just let the darkness sit there, quiet, still, like it was waiting for me. I dropped my bag on the floor, leaned back against the door after I closed it, and let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding since dinner. Their voices were still in my head. My sister's laugh, my dad's certainty, my mom's quiet agreement. No husband, no kids, no real life. I slid down slowly until I was sitting on the floor, because standing suddenly felt like too much effort, too much pretending. I'm fine, I whispered to myself. But the words didn't land the way they usually did, because tonight, something had cracked. Not broken, just opened. And once something like that opens, you can't just close it again. I reached over, turned on the small lamp beside the couch. A soft, warm light filled the room. Safe, controlled, mine. No one here to judge it, no one here to comment on what was missing or what wasn't. I stood up slowly and walked to the kitchen, grabbing a glass of water. My hands were steady, too steady, like my body hadn't caught up to what my mind was doing, because my mind, It was going somewhere I hadn't let it go in a long time. Not fully, not like this. I leaned against the counter and stared at the wall. And just like that, I was back there, 5 years ago. Same feeling, different room, different version of me, but the same silence, the same kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels heavy. I remember the way my phone lit up that night, his name on the screen. Ethan. I used to smile when I saw his name, every single time. It didn't matter what kind of day I was having. It didn't matter what was going on. Just seeing it felt like something good was about to happen. That night was different, because it wasn't a call, it was a message. Short, too short. We need to talk. My chest tightened just remembering it, because everyone knows those 4 words never mean anything good. I called him immediately. He didn't answer. Called again. Nothing. So I went to his place. Of course I did. Because that's what you do when you think something is wrong. You show up. You fix it. You don't just sit there and wait. I remember standing outside his door, heart racing, knocking once, twice. Then the door opened and everything changed in a single second. Because he wasn't alone. She was standing behind him, close enough that I didn't need an explanation, close enough that I didn't need to ask, but I still did. "Who is that?" I asked, even though my voice already sounded different, like it knew, like it had already started breaking. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "Hey, I was gonna call you." Of course he was. That's what they always say. "I'm here now, so talk." The girl behind him didn't say anything. She just watched, like I was part of something she had already accepted, something already decided. Ethan stepped outside, closing the door behind him, like that would somehow make it better. Like keeping her out of sight would change what I had already seen. "It's not what you think," he said. I almost laughed, because it was exactly what I thought. "Then explain it," I said. He hesitated, and that hesitation, that was the answer. Still, he tried. It just happened. There it was, the most useless explanation in the world. "It doesn't just happen, Ethan," I said quietly. "It did," he insisted. "We didn't plan it." My chest tightened. "We?" He winced slightly. "Yeah, that word. That one hurt." "How long?" I asked. He looked away. "Does it matter?" Yes, it mattered, because every day he didn't say a number was another day he lied. "How long?" I repeated. "A few months." My stomach dropped. "A few months?" I nodded slowly, trying to process it, trying to stay calm, trying not to let it show how much it actually hurt. "And you were just going to tell me tonight?" I asked. He shook his head slightly. I didn't know how. Of course he didn't, because that's the hardest part for people like him. Not the betrayal, the conversation after. "I thought you loved me," I said. The words came out quieter than I expected. He didn't answer right away. And that silence, it said more than anything else. "I do," he said finally. I shook my head. "No," I said, "you don't. Because love doesn't look like that. It doesn't hide. It doesn't split itself in two. It doesn't stand in a doorway trying to explain why someone else is inside." "You don't understand," he said. "You're right, I don't. Because I never would. Not in the way he wanted me to. Not in the way that made it okay. I didn't mean to hurt you," he added. That almost made it worse, because it meant he knew the whole time and still chose it. I took a step back, then another. "Are you staying with her?" I asked. He hesitated again, then nodded. And just like that, something inside me shut off. Clean. Quiet. Final. "Okay," I said. He looked surprised. "Okay?" "Yeah," I repeated. I turned, started walking away. "Wait," he called after me. "That's it?" I stopped, didn't turn around. "What else is there?" I asked. "I thought you'd..."
I don't know, fight for us. That made me smile, not in a happy way, in a way that felt almost tired. I don't fight for something that's already gone, I said. And then I left, just like that. No yelling, no scene, no begging, just done. And that was the moment everything changed. Not just with him, with me. Because after that, something shifted. Trust didn't come easy anymore. Actually, it didn't come at all. And every time someone got close, every time something started to feel real, I would hear that voice in the back of my head. It just happens. And I would step back, before it could happen again, before I could be standing in another doorway looking at something I didn't choose. I came back to the present slowly, standing in my kitchen, glass still in my hand, water untouched, my reflection faintly staring back at me from the window. And suddenly, my sister's words felt different, not because they were right, but because they were incomplete. She thought I didn't have a life, didn't have love, didn't have anything real. But the truth? The truth was, I had it once, and I lost it in a way that changes how you see everything after. And something tells me, if that night had gone differently, if I had stayed, if I had fought, maybe I wouldn't be standing here alone right now. But then again, maybe I wouldn't be me either. And as I stood there, quiet, still, I realized something else. Something I hadn't admitted before, not even to myself. It wasn't just that I was avoiding relationships. It wasn't just fear. It was something deeper. Because part of me, a small, quiet part, still wondered, what if I made the wrong choice? And that question, it hadn't gone anywhere. It had just been waiting. And something tells me it's about to come back in a way I'm not ready for.
I didn't sleep that night. I tried. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, turning over the same thoughts again and again, until they didn't even feel like thoughts anymore. Just noise. My sister's voice, my mom's silence, my dad's disappointment. And underneath all of that, Ethan. Always Ethan. Like some part of my life had paused the moment I walked away from him, and everything since had just been moving around it. At around 3 a.m., I gave up trying. I got out of bed, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders, and sat by the window. The city was quiet, still. A few lights on in other buildings. People awake for their own reasons, their own stories. And for a moment, I wondered if any of them felt like this, like they had made a decision years ago and were still living inside it. My phone buzzed suddenly on the table beside me. I looked at it. Unknown number. I hesitated, then picked it up. Hello? There was a pause. Then, Emily? My breath caught. That voice, even after 5 years, I knew it instantly. Ethan? Silence on the line, then a quiet exhale. Yeah, it's me. My heart started beating faster, not because I was happy, but because something about this didn't feel like coincidence. How did you get my number? I asked. I never deleted it, he said. Of course he didn't. That felt very him. What do you want? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Another pause. Longer this time. I saw your sister today. My grip tightened on the phone. What? She came by my office. That made no sense. Why would she... She told me you were there tonight, at your parents' place. I closed my eyes for a second. Of course she did. Of course she would. And? I asked. And she said something, he continued. I waited. She said you're still alone. The words landed quietly, but they hit. Not because they were new, but because now they were coming from him. I let out a slow breath. Is that why you're calling? To confirm it? No, he said quickly. That's not... Then what is it, Ethan? Silence. Then I need to see you. My chest tightened. No.
Emily, no, I repeated. We're not doing this. It's not what you think. I almost laughed. There it was again. Same words, different night. It never is, I said. This is different. Everything is different when you need something. That's not fair. I stood up, pacing slowly across the room. What do you want from me? Another pause. Then his voice dropped slightly. She left. I stopped. What? She's gone, he said. A year ago. I didn't respond right away, because I didn't know how I was supposed to feel about that. Relief? Validation? Nothing? I am sorry, he added. For what? For everything. The words felt late. Too late. 5 years too late. Why now? I asked. Because I've been thinking about you. I shook my head slightly. That's not a reason. It is for me. That's not enough. Silence again. Then, I never stopped. Don't, I cut him off. Don't say that. Because it's true. Because it doesn't matter, I said. It didn't. Or at least I needed it not to. I made a mistake, he said quietly. Yes, I replied. You did. And I've been trying to live with it. That's not my responsibility. I know. Another pause. Then, maybe it could be ours again. My chest tightened. There it was. The real reason. The real ask. I closed my eyes for a second. And for just a moment, just a small, quiet moment, I imagined it. Going back. Trying again. Pretending the past could be something we just stepped over. But then I remembered the doorway. The way he stood there. The way she was behind him, the way he hesitated when I asked how long, and just like that, the moment passed. No, I said softly. Emily, please. No, I repeated. You don't get to come back just because it didn't work out for you. It's not like that. It is exactly like that. My voice wasn't loud, but it was steady, clear, certain. You made your choice, I said, and I respected it. I regret it. That doesn't change it. Silence. Then, I thought you'd be happy to hear from me. That made something shift inside me. Not pain, not sadness. Something sharper. Why? I asked. Because we had something real. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see me. We did. Then why are you acting like it didn't matter? I'm not. I'm acting like it's over. Another long pause. Then his voice changed. Softer. Almost confused. You're really okay with this? I thought about that for a second. Really thought about it. About the last 5 years. About who I had become. About what I built on my own. About the quiet strength I didn't even realize I had until this night. I'm okay with me, I said. And that was the truth. For the first time in a long time, that was actually true. He didn't respond right away, and when he did, his voice sounded different, like something had settled. I didn't expect that, he admitted. I know. I thought you'd be happy to hear from me. That made something shift inside me. Not pain, not sadness, something sharper. Why? I asked. Because we had something real. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see me. We did. Then why are you acting like it didn't matter? I'm not. I'm acting like it's over. Another long pause. Then his voice changed, softer, almost confused. You're really okay with this? I thought about that for a second. Really thought about it. About the last 5 years. About who I had become. About what I built on my own. About the quiet strength I didn't even realize I had until this night. I'm okay with me, I said. And that was the truth. For the first time in a long time, that was actually true. He didn't respond right away. And when he did, his voice sounded different, Like something had settled. I didn't expect that, he admitted. I know. I thought you'd be happy to hear from me. That made something shift inside me. Not pain, not sadness, something sharper. Why? I asked. Because we had something real. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see me. We did. Then why are you acting like it didn't matter? I'm not. I'm acting like it's over. Another long pause. Then his voice changed, softer, almost confused. You're really okay with this? I thought about that for a second. Really thought about it. About the last 5 years. About who I had become. About what I built on my own. About the quiet strength I didn't even realize I had until this night. I'm okay with me, I said. And that was the truth. For the first time in a long time, that was actually true. He didn't respond right away, and when he did, his voice sounded different, like something had settled. I didn't expect that, he admitted. I know. I thought you'd be happy to hear from me. That made something shift inside me. Not pain, not sadness, something sharper. Why? I asked. Because we had something real. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see me. We did. Then why are you acting like it didn't matter? I'm not. I'm acting like it's over. Another long pause. Then his voice changed, softer, almost confused. You're really okay with this? I thought about that for a second. Really thought about it. About the last 5 years. About who I had become. About what I built on my own. About the quiet strength I didn't even realize I had until this night. I'm okay with me, I said. And that was the truth. For the first time in a long time, that was actually true. He didn't respond right away, and when he did, his voice sounded different, like something had settled. I didn't expect that, he admitted. I know. I thought you'd be happy to hear from me. That made something shift inside me. Not pain, not sadness, something sharper. Why? I asked. Because we had something real. I nodded slightly, even though he couldn't see me. We did. Then why are you acting like it didn't matter? I'm not. I'm acting like it's over. Another long pause. Then his voice changed, softer, almost confused. You're really okay with this? I thought about that for a second. Really thought about it. About the last 5 years. About who I had become.